Hello and welcome to this tutorial on formatting your paper in APA 7th edition. My name is Kaylee Guzel and I'm an online writing coach with the Online Writing Center and Academic Support, here to walk you through some common formatting basics for APA 7th edition. I will use Microsoft Word and we'll start with a sample paper and then create the elements from scratch. Okay, so here is our sample paper in APA 7th edition. And I'll just point out a few elements and then we will create our own title page. So this is the title page for the student version. If you are in a graduate program, there is now also a professional version of the APA paper with a few additions and differences. These can include a header up here in this upper margin space, some author's notes, an abstract with keywords, tables, footnotes, and so on. If you are required to use the professional version, please visit apastyle.apa.org and check out those examples. We will also do our best to provide those at the Shapiro Library's citation page or FAQs page, as well as our YouTube channel. We are adding more resources on citation every day. So, and as we move through the video, if you want to pause to take a closer look at what I'm working on or clicking, if you would like to jump to different timestamps, I will put some time markers in the video description below so that you can jump to certain things that we cover in this video. Okay, so here is our APA Style Student Version 7th edition title page. So let's point out a few things here. On the top, you will see your title, which is bold. It is centered. So I'm using this center button up here to make this be in the middle. A quick note about that. If you do start to indent something and then hit center, it will be off center. So make sure that your title is flush to the edge all the way before you center. Okay. Moving on, you have your student's name here. I'm the student in this case. Your department, comma, the school, a class name, an instructor name, and the date, the standard American date of month, day, comma, year. So here's our title page and your little page number up there. And we'll start with that as we move over to our blank document to create these elements from scratch. All right, so on to our new document. And we will start with those page numbers. So you want to go to the very edge here, make sure you're outside of where your cursor is blinking there, and click twice on the left there, standard double click. Then we'll go to page number. So your design menu opens automatically and it takes you to all of these options for your headers and footers. There are no footers in the student version, so we won't worry about those. There's also no headers anymore. So we'll go straight to page number, click on that, hover over top of page, choose plain number 3, and there it is. So the one that's on the far right there, that's the one. Double click out, and now we are in our title page, ready to add that title and name and so on. So you're starting at the very top line. We're going to hit enter 3 times. And then center. Bold is here, our big bold B, and then we will insert our title. I will never remember the other half of my title, so let's go get it. And we'll get all those other elements while we're there. Shortcuts. Okay, so now my font has done some funky stuff. My spacing might be strange. So let's go ahead and talk about font and spacing at this point, and then we'll finish kind of reviewing what we did on the title page. To click and drag is to highlight. So we are highlighting all of our text, and we're going to go to the paragraph menu and look at a few things that you might have to adjust depending on how your version of Word is defaulted. So now I'm right-clicking using my middle finger to click, paragraph, and I'm going to the line spacing section, paragraph spacing section of this menu. This has been checked off in this version. Sometimes when I open it, it's not. So depending on what you see, the most important thing is that these two menus say 0. So if I go ahead and click it up, more space will be added between lines when I hit enter, and we don't want that. That's not APA. So 0, 0, and line spacing will be double. Okay, so now my paragraph spacing is uniform, my line spacing is uniform, and now I want my font to be uniform. A few notes about font in APA. They have added a few more that are okay and standard by their standards. So I will just show you a few of those now. On the upper left here is your font menu situation, and the wider menu is the font itself. So some of my font here is Times New Roman right now, and some of it's Calibri. So to make it all Calibri, I will click on Calibri and 11. While I'm in the 11 size, I'm also allowed to use Georgia, which is kind of pretty, or Arial, which looks like that. Another is 12-point Times New Roman. So all of these fonts are okay, but do make sure that your title page doesn't really venture away from any other conventions. So this is bold, this is not, it's all centered, and that is the way it looks. So I'll go back to Calibri 11 so that my page number matches. And now we will skip down to the body of the paper. We have our title, our name, department, Southern New Hampshire University, class, instructor, and date. And notice the capitalization for all those. Here's a good place to pause the video and look more closely at that. But you'll see that all the main words and all the proper nouns are capitalized on your title page. Okay, so back to our full sample, and we will cover a couple more things about font and spacing's all set. We'll cover a couple more things about the body of the paper now. And do please note as well that there is one extra space between your title and your name. So here's the body of the paper, and you'll see that the number 2 automatically fills itself in, so you don't have to do that. And now we are looking at a full couple of paragraphs for the essay or the paper itself. The title itself does repeat, and it's capitalized and bolded just as it was on the previous page. I have hit the tab key here to indent, standard indent, and then you'll see that there are some parenthetical expressions in here, so things in parentheses. These are in-text citations. There are also some abbreviations in here. So if you do have to abbreviate any phrases like autism spectrum disorder, ASD, early childhood education, ECE, you can pause here and look at how that is done. So the full phrase and then that parenthetical little acronym. But what I want to focus on the most for the rest of the video is in-text citation and the references page, because we do get lots of questions about that. For any citation that you have here, there should be a longer reference for it. And for every reference you have, there should be an in-text citation. So there does need to be at least a one-to-one relationship with that. Sometimes students will cite a whole lot in here, but the full citation is missing from the references page or the other way around. So this particular citation, the American Psychological Association, 2017, has a full iterance on the references page. So I will skip down there to show you that. And here it is. A few things about the references page while we're here is that these entries are in alphabetical order. Whether you use a publisher name or a title name here, sometimes there's no publisher or author and you have to start with a title. No matter what is starting the citation, you alphabetize that way. So our first citation is the APA itself, and here are the conventions for some standard citations. You can pause here to take a look at the way things are italicized, the way things are capitalized, some of the differences with the dates. The general rule for APA is to use the most specific date you can find. So you'll see that some of these have a date in a month, some are just a year, some are a day in a month and a year, and some have no date at all. Then you'll have last name, first initial in a year, and the italics, excuse me, apply to web articles now, as well as journal articles, journal titles, and the article titles are not italicized in a database journal like those you might get at the Shapiro Library. All right, so one or two more notes about quoting, paraphrasing, and citing, and then we will wrap up. And one final word shortcut detail about the hanging indents here on your references page I wanted to mention. You'll see that the top line of citations that are on the longer side hangs out, so it's the opposite of that tabbed indent in your paragraphs above. My shortcut for that is backspace, enter, tab. Backspace, enter, tab. On Mac, that would be, I think, delete, return, and indent, whatever those keys are. But backspace, enter, tab is the quickest way to achieve that hanging indent from your second line or third line. And that's how all these were achieved. There are other ways of doing it. I just think that's the fastest. And if you do see an extra gap between these lines when you do that, that's when you want to revisit earlier in the video the paragraph menu and fixing the spacing, highlighting the text and fixing the spacing. So for quoting and paraphrasing, we have an example of a block quote here. This is what a direct quote looks like when it's longer than 3 lines in APA, or 30 words, it might be the rule. And you can pause here to take a closer look at how that's punctuated, how the page numbers are used, and above it is a 3-author narrative citation where I mention the authors and the year in my introductory phrase or my signal phrase. I'm signaling where my source is there. You'll see there's a subtitle here, or what's called in APA a second level heading, and that is bold as well, but it is aligned left. So if you do have subtitles below your title, something like introduction or literature review, and you want to set it apart from the rest of the paper, that's how you do that. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us on this tutorial. That should cover the basic formatting things, and as always, we are available at the Writing Center to help you with some more subtle facets of this. The Shapiro Library has some great citation resources, a whole citation page with examples and an FAQs page with examples where you can search how to cite certain things. And we look forward to working with you, and we appreciate you viewing this. And as always, from the Online Writing Center, write on.